The Queen's 4 children have stood in solemn reflection as they guarded her coffin for a short vigil while some of the first members of the public filed past. The King, head bowed, returned to St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh with his sister the Princess Royal and brothers the Duke of York and Earl of Wessex a few hours after attending a service of thanksgiving for the Queen. Watch the video above. King Charles distressed by Queen's coffin. Catch all of your favorite shows on Channel 7 or stream free on 7+. It came shortly after members of the public were able to proceed past the Queen's coffin for the first time since her death on September 8. King Charles III, Prince Edward, Duke of Wessex, Princess Anne, Princess Royal, and Prince Andrew, Duke of York hold a vigil at St Giles Cathedral, in honor of Queen Elizabeth II. Credit: WPA Pool/Getty Images. Charles, Anne, Andrew and Edward looked somber as they took their places at the 4 sides of the oak coffin. They stood alongside 4 suited members of the Royal Company of Archers, who were standing guard dressed in long feathered hats and armed with long bows and a quiver of arrows. The procession of the public queuing to view the coffin on Monday evening was temporarily paused to allow the royals to take their places. Andrew kept his eyes closed for a period of time during the vigil, while Anne and Edward had their eyes fixed towards the floor. King Charles III attends a service at St Giles Cathedral on September 12, 2022. Credit: Samir Hussain / Wire image. Members of the public file past the Queen's coffin while her children hold vigil. Credit: AP body language expert Judy James observed all 4 of the Queen's children as they stood vigil. Anne had been watching the coffin closely during the walk to the church and then inside for the service, using such an intense stare that she looked like the very dutiful daughter still desperately protecting her mother, even after death, James told The Sun. To walk up to that coffin, which was now at eye level, and turn her back to stand guard must have taken emotional strength, and the last glance she aimed at it showed a rounded eye expression of utter sadness. Princess Anne, right, accompanied her mother the Queen's coffin from Balmoral to Edinburgh. Credit: AP Charles, wearing Prince Charles Edward Stuart tartan and white heather in his lapel from Balmoral, kept his hands joined and also looked towards the floor. James remarked that when Charles entered the church, he looked in reasonably good spirits and was chatting to their hosts and even exchanging some smiles and laughter with his brothers. Play video. A look inside the Queen's processions. A look inside the Queen's processions. A look inside the Queen's processions. But as the ceremony began, the weight of the moment began showing in his demeanor, James said. He appeared unusually agitated as they entered though, constantly looking round as though to check they were all there with him and appearing to relax a little when Edward appeared, James said. Edward's lips were sucked in as he arrived, suggesting regret and a desire to brace himself for the vigil. King Charles III, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward arrive at St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, Scotland. Credit: Car Tang / Wire image. James said of Charles, he looked ahead with some rapid blinks suggesting some inner anxiety or anguish, before adopting the vigil position of a lowered head and hands clasped in front of the torso. Being so close to the coffin and standing alone and in silence must have meant the possibility of being overwhelmed by emotion, but all 4 siblings seemed to manage to adopt a pose of stoic reflection, James said. It was a moment when Charles in particular, who has frequently been looking tearful, could have so easily broken down. Greeting the King, many of those filing past bowed to the new monarch. The Queen Consort and Countess of Wessex sat on seats opposite the coffin while the vigil, which began at 7:46 p.m. and finished at 7:56 p.m., took place in the ancient cathedral. The archers have been completing 20-minute periods of standing guard at the coffin, which will remain at St Giles for 24 hours before it is taken to London to lie in state. Play video. Watch. Queen's daughter Princess Anne speaks. Watch. Queen's daughter Princess Anne speaks. Watch. Queen's daughter Princess Anne speaks. Members of the crowd cheered as Charles arrived at the cathedral, and as he departed. As he drove past them, they took pictures and video and said, "Here he is. Here he is. It's the King." Charles waved at onlookers waiting at the barriers to see him. One woman was heard to say, "I missed him earlier and travelled up from Glasgow to see him. I waited 5 hours, I finally saw him." With Anya Fox, Catherine Wiley and Isabel Frodsham. And finally, thank you all for watching the video. Please like and comment your opinion so we can discuss together. Don't forget to subscribe, press the bell to follow and update many other interesting news. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.